Hi, welcome back to another craft video from the Kansas City, Kansas Public Library. This is part 2 of our jewelry making basics class. Part 1 was talking all about the tools and the findings that we use to create jewelry. Today's class is going to be a basic project. This is a fairly simple dangle earring. As you can see right here, this is what we will be making in this video. A lovely little crystal earring that literally only takes minutes to make and is very simple. To make a pair of these earrings, you will need 2 of the earring findings, the earring hooks. You will need 2 of the head pins, and you will need whatever beads that you are going to put on the dangle. Now, your head pins, you can fill this up with beads as long as you want. Just stop about a 1/2 inch from the end. You don't want to fill it up with beads all the way to the end because you'll have to make a loop in here, and you'll need about a 1/2 inch to make the loop. We're just going to do simple little crystals. Okay? You will need round nose pliers, wire cutters, and needle nose pliers. Now these I bought as part of a set. Okay. Now to start with, you just thread the beads onto the head pin however you want them to go. Now before you get definitely set on your design, when you're picking out your beads, always test to make sure the holes in your beads are not too small to go over the head pin, because there's nothing more disappointing than getting a whole design laid out with a beautiful progression of beads, and then you try and put them on and then realize that the holes in one of the beads is too small. So as you're picking your beads, always test to make sure that they will go on the head pin. Okay. So now we need to make a loop above the beads to attach it to the jump ring, as you can see in our finished one right here. How we do this is you take some pliers and you just get as close to the beads as you can and just bend it backwards a little bit. We're going to try and make a little backwards angle like that. See? Now we're going to take the round nose pliers. How these work are you grab the wire with this and you bend the wire around it to form the loop. If you grab the wire near the tip, you'll form a very small loop. If you grab the wire near the base, you'll form a very big loop. I'm going to grab it about halfway and get up close to the beads. And so you'll see how this looks right now. You'll take the wire and just wrap it around towards you as far as you can. Now you'll want to adjust it because you can't go any farther. You'll want to adjust the pliers around so that you can keep wrapping and go to the side of your beads. And then try and bring it up over the beads so that the 2 pieces of wire are touching. Like this. Alright, so that it forms a kind of like a clover leaf on a highway, around and then that way. Then you'll need to cut off the extra wire. So for that we're going to use wire cutters. Now jewelry wire cutters have a flat part and they have a rounded or dipped part. And this which side you use is whichever side will get you closest to the part where you want to cut. So we're going to use the flat side toward the beads. We're going to get as close to that wire as we can, as close up to the beads, and still leave it forming a whole circled loop. Now, if I just snapped this and cut it right now, this little wire piece would go flying. And you don't want to have, you know, sharp little wire pieces flying all over your room. Especially if you have carpet, you may lose it in the carpet and then you'll step on it later and really regret it. As it is right now, what you have to do is, before you start really squeezing, you'll want to cup it with this hand or hold it or some other way. And if you need two hands to squeeze it, do it this way where you can put your fingers around the wire as you squeeze with both hands. Something to direct that wire from flying all over the place. So I'm going to squeeze, and you will hear a snap when it's done. And then I have this little piece that I cut off, and I can just throw that away. And I'm left with my dangle. And it's not a perfect loop on the dangle. And the more you try it and you do it, the more your loops will look better. Now I'm going to open this up and put it on the earring hook. Now, if you watch the first video, you'll know, like on jump rings, you don't open loops this way. You open loops by twisting, because if you open loops and jump rings this way, you can stress the metal and they can snap. So I want to take this loop, and whichever side it's on, I want to just pull it to the side and open it up just a little bit. I don't know if you can see that, but it's open just a little bit. I can take the finding and just thread that on there. Now, put that to the side and grab the loop, and I'm going to close it again by twisting it back. And I want to twist it so that the tip hits the other part of the loop so that there's no gap between the end of the loop for the hook to fall off. And I like to give it a little wiggle when I get there, and that helps get it centered and tight. And so then we have our earring. That's it. That's all there is to it to make an elegant, lovely pair of earrings. You can make, these are a little bit fancier because I used crystals. If you use wooden beads, you can make a casual set. You can make super fancy ones if you like, using, you know, real gold and Swarovski that sparkle a lot. You can even make longer ones if you like. If instead of using a head pin, you used an eye pin, you could make a dangle that will then have a loop where you can put another dangle on it. Just make sure that the last dangle, you can keep doing that, just make sure that the last one is a head pin so that there's no loop on the last dangle. But you can add multiple dangles using the eye pin instead of the head pin. And that's it for today. Come back next time when we'll make another project that's a little bit longer and a little bit more involved, that will build on the techniques that you've learned in the first two classes. We'll see you next time. Bye.